Welcome back. When we left off, Zuri and Imani were standing on the edge of something neither of them had words for. Can you love someone who is never yours to want? Can Zuri resist falling for the woman who once shattered her best friend and might be about to shatter her heart too? Here's the final part of the story. Chapter 5. It begins with a single late-night voice note. Not dramatic. Just Imani speaking softly about a detail she finally cracked in the atrium design. "I'll show you tomorrow," she says. "It made me think of what you said about natural light." Her voice at night hits different. Warmer. Unarmored. Like she saves her softness for the dark. I listened to the voice note once. Then again. Then save it before I can talk myself out of it. I foolishly ask how her day was. She responds with another voice note. Her voice full of humor. "Zuri, you won't believe what the contractor tried today." She pauses, overcome with laughter. "He suggested, very confidently, that we save money by using those plastic gazebo poles for a load-bearing column." A beat. Her dry, unimpressed tone follows. The man wanted to hold up a building with vibes and a prayer. I laugh into my pillow. Too loudly. Too easily. Anyone who's lived in Kenya understands this energy. People who always want to cut corners. Soon, we're having tiny inside jokes, nothing planned. Her dramatic coastal flair. Her deliberate mispronunciation of some words. The way she exaggerates her frustration like she's narrating a telenovela. In the coming days, I start checking my phone more than I should. Ante notices. "Why are you smiling at your phone like that?" he teases one afternoon. My thumb hits the lock screen too fast. "It's nothing. Work. Clients." A half-truth wrapped around half-guilt. He nods, but something hangs in the air, something tight, something unspoken. 4 days later, Imani invites me to her studio. The room is sunlit, quiet, scented faintly of eucalyptus oil and pencil shavings. Tracing paper is scattered everywhere like she's mid-thought and refuses to let any idea escape. "Come," she says softly. "Let me show you something." She spreads out her sketches, raw, confident, alive. She walks me through her concepts with that calm cadence she uses when she knows she's onto something. I watch her hands. Elegant. Precise. She was born into a world that taught her to take up space. I was born into one that taught me to earn every inch. Maybe she senses that because out of nowhere, she glances at me and says, "You've been quiet." I shrug, eyes still on the drawings. Before I can think twice, I mutter, "Sometimes I feel behind." Like everyone else has a blueprint for their life, and I'm still drafting mine. She studies me, really studies me. "Zuri," she says, voice low and sure, "you're exactly where you need to be." She hesitates, just long enough that I look up. Imani leans against the drafting table, her tone quieter. "People think life has been smooth for me," she says. "Upper-class Nyali upbringing. Polished. Calm. But that's not the full story." A thoughtful tap of her pencil. "But that's not true. My failed relationships. Like with Taye. I cared about him. I did. But something always felt slightly off. Like I was performing a role I didn't quite fit into." My breath catches. Imani continues, slower now. "I kept trying to be the kind of girlfriend I thought I was supposed to be. But the more I tried, the more I felt like I was outside my own life, watching myself act." A soft exhale. "It took me a long time to admit that maybe the version of love I was chasing wasn't the one that feels natural to me." She glances at me briefly, but enough. "I'm still figuring things out," she says. A pause. "But I'm closer now than I was then. So just be patient with yourself, Zuri." Heat rises in my chest. "I totally get you." I mutter. Sometimes I look at buildings and wonder why everything holds together better than I do. It comes out too honest, too naked. I regret it instantly. I look away, pretending I'm studying the drawing, but my voice betrays me with a small, shaky laugh meant to cover the crack. Imani doesn't laugh. She doesn't tease. Her whole expression shifts, focus turning soft, eyes steady on me like she's seeing something I didn't mean to show. "Zuri," she says quietly. And there's no judgment in it. Just concern. Warm. Intentional. That's what breaks something open. Not because of the confession. but because of what her eyes say without words. Silence fills the space, charged, revealing more than either of us can name. And then she folds me into her. A warm, steadying hug meant to anchor me, not confuse me, though it does both. Her chin rests against my shoulder. Her breath brushes my neck, gentle, unhurried. She holds me like she's giving me a place to stop, as if to ease my insecurities, just for a moment. I should pull back, I thought, but I don't. She loosens her arms first, but doesn't step away immediately. The space between us feels altered, charged, complicated, quietly dangerous. I walk out trying to steady my breathing, but her warmth lingers, threading itself into my steps. By the time I reach home, the truth settles under my ribs. I whispered into the empty room. This stopped being innocent. And she felt it too. By morning, I swear myself into distance. No more voice notes. No more accidental touches. No more space for whatever this is becoming. But life and architecture have other plans. Chapter 6. I wasn't supposed to feel her breath on my neck again. Not the next night. Not ever. But there we were, Imani and I, leaning over the same blueprint, rain drumming against Nairobi like a warning, and my heart absolutely refusing to behave. Let me explain. The day had already begun on a confusing note. I woke up with that hug replaying in my head, the warmth of it, the length of it, the way it lingered like it hadn't finished saying what it needed to say. A cold shower didn't help. Then came the knock. Taye. He stepped into my apartment with that careful energy he gets when something is bothering him, but he's pretending to be fine. He opened my fridge, judged its contents, and finally said, "Zu, you okay? You've been off. Off." If only he knew how on I'd been. I blamed work. Half-truth. The other half had a name, a voice, and a smile that refused to leave me alone. Taye leaned back on my counter. Just be careful with her, yeah? Imani isn't who you remember. Something in my chest tightened, sharp and precise. A tightness hit my chest, fast, sharp. I tried to joke it off. Since when do you care who I remember? He didn't laugh. He just looked at me soft, worried, protective in a way that made my stomach flip. Then he sighed. Let's just say, her compass doesn't point where we would expect. He didn't elaborate. He didn't have to. And then he left, leaving behind a truth I wasn't ready to unpack. I got to work. By midday, the project's group chat exploded. Structural alert, urgent site meeting. When we got to the site, everyone looked frazzled. One of the primary beams on the second floor didn't match the updated drawings. Someone had messed up. Imani and I arrived at the same time, though in different cars. The project manager spotted us instantly and marched over. Zuri, Kaveka, you two are rerunning the structural simulation tonight. Turning to me, he added, Kaveka's software is the only one that can process the updated model. Of course it was. She was the lead creative. Professionally, I had no choice. Personally, she was the last person I should be alone with. Imani's temporary Nairobi apartment was warm, too warm. It smelled of cloves. Sea. Something coastal. A space that felt expensive but lived in. Like Niali distilled into perfume and memory. She took off her blazer and rolled up her sleeves. That should have meant work mode. But my mind saw it differently. Tea, she asked. Water, I croaked. We unrolled the blueprints across the coffee table and sat on the floor. Our knees brushed immediately. Tiny contact. Big reaction. You're tense, she murmured. I'm fine. You're lying. I glared. She smiled softly, knowingly, and that smile was dangerous. We bent over the blueprint. Her shoulder against mine. Her breath grazing my cheek. I pulled back a little too quickly. She noticed. Zuri, she said quietly. You don't have to pretend with me. My heart flipped. I hated that she could still read me. Outside, thunder rolled. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. We turned on a small desk lamp. Warm, golden, intimate light filled the room. Everything felt softer. Too soft. We kept working, but the air had changed. Every time our fingers brushed the same page. Every time our elbows touched, it felt like leaning over the edge of something. Then it happened. We both reached for the same pen. My hand landed on hers. Her fingers curled slightly, just enough to let me know she felt it too. The room stilled. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Careful, Zuri. We're crossing lines we can't redraw. I think my heart forgot how to beat. I didn't move. Neither did she. And then, my phone rang. Taye. The ringtone cracked the moment in half. I jumped like the phone was on fire, stumbling away from her warmth, her breath, her everything. Hello. I answered. Too fast. Zoo? You okay? You sound different. Right. Different. Probably because the woman 3 feet away was looking at me like she could still feel my pulse in her palm. We finished the simulation, but the closeness was gone, replaced with something cautious. Careful. Too aware. Later, at the door, as I was leaving, she whispered, Good night, Zuri. My name in her mouth. That voice. That softness. I escaped into the night before I betrayed myself. At home, I leaned against my door, steadying my breathing. A new voice note blinked. From Imani. I pressed play with trembling fingers. Her voice filled the silence. Tonight, just tell me it wasn't only me. My breath hitched. My heart answered before my mouth could. It wasn't only you, I whispered into the dark. And it terrified me how true that was. Chapter 7. In the days that followed, I did what any woman with questionable self-control and a dangerously attractive colleague would do. I ignored Imani for 2 full days. Airplane mode. Selective amnesia. Olympic-level avoidance. It would have worked if my brain wasn't a traitor. Every time I tried to focus on work or food or anything, her voice cut through my thoughts like she lived there rent-free. On day 2, just when I thought I'd reclaimed my sanity, my phone buzzed. A voice note. From her. I stared at it like it was radioactive. Or delicious. Or both. I hit play. Zuri. Just checking in. You've been quiet. I'm not pushing. Just hoping you're okay. She wasn't flirting. She was being gentle. Which was worse. My chest tightened. I shoved my phone into my pocket before I could do something reckless. That's when someone knocked on my door. I opened to find Taye. With mandazis, with 2 cups of tea, and a face full of mischief. Zuri, he sang. Why do you look like you're losing an argument with your feelings? I laughed, too fast, too high, too guilty. We fell into our usual rhythm of banter, teasing, and familiar safety. Then he sighed. Soft. Heavy. I think I'm ready to start dating again. Something in me dipped, not for him, but for what that meant. He studied me. You know, back with Imani. I kept thinking something was off with me. She was there, but she never really reached for me. A pause. Then, quietly. Maybe she was wired for someone different. Someone she wasn't ready to admit she wanted. My pulse stuttered. He was talking about the truth neither of us wanted to face. Taye, I'm fine. Relax, he cut in with a smile. When he left, the silence felt sharp. I pulled out my phone, listened to Imani's voice note again, and again, until the edges of her words were worn into my bones. By midnight, I couldn't pretend anymore. I hit record. 1 sentence. Small. Harmless, but absolutely catastrophic. I'm okay, I texted, then added, I missed your voice. I hit send and instantly regretted. When I saw her typing back, my breath caught. Because this wasn't work anymore. And no lie I told myself could drown that out. Chapter 8. Imani didn't reply immediately, which was good. And terrible. And good again. It gave me 20 whole minutes to panic, pace, rehearse a fake apology, consider deleting the entire chat, and question what kind of grown woman admits she missed someone's voice, like she's writing in a diary with a glitter pen. When her voice note finally came in, I nearly dropped my phone. I pressed play. I missed yours too, she said. Soft. Unhurried. Dangerously sincere. My heart did something unprofessional. Then another message popped up. Are you awake? It was 11:47 p.m. Only 2 kinds of people text you at 11:47 p.m. The ones who change your life. Or the ones who ruin it. I typed, yes. Then deleted it. Then typed, yeah, why? Deleted that too. Finally sent. Yeah. Her typing bubbles appeared instantly. Can I call? She asked. In a few minutes, I was picking her call. Zuri, she breathed, like she'd been storing my name somewhere warm the whole day. And just like that, whatever distance I was pretending to build evaporated. We talked. About nothing and everything. About a contractor who cemented his own shoe into a slab, then walked off like a distressed flamingo. About her aunt's dramatic telenovela commentary. About my neighbor who cooks tilapia loudly at 1 a.m. Because apparently, the ancestors demand midnight fish. It was the kind of late-night talk where laughter slips easily, walls lower on their own, and truths wander closer to the surface. Then she said it. Come over. My throat tightened. Now. Yes. Just. I want to see you. Properly. Without voice notes. Every sensible part of me protested. But I was already grabbing my hoodie. Her place felt different that night. Not because anything had changed. It had the same chairs, same warm coastal scent, same neatly pinned sketches. It felt different because we had changed. Or maybe we just stopped pretending. She stood by her drafting table, hair loosely tied, eyes soft in a way that felt treacherous. Hey, she said, voice soft. 3 letters. But they disarmed me. Hey, I replied. We moved slowly, like people approaching a cliff they weren't sure they should jump off. She showed me updated sketches, pretended this was normal, and I pretended my heart wasn't beating away like it was trying to escape. Zuri, she said quietly. I looked up, and something in the air shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet pull. The kind people pretend not to feel even when it's tugging at their bones. She stepped closer. I didn't step back. Her fingertips brushed my jaw. Barely. Asking a question without words. Everything in me answered. But neither of us moved fully. It was a suspended moment. Hesitation, breath, fear, want. All held between us like a line drawn in soft chalk. Then she whispered, "Tell me to stop." I should have. I didn't. My voice came out small. I don't want you to stop. Something flickered in her eyes. Relief, worry, hunger, tenderness. A blend so vulnerable it hit me deeper than the touch. She leaned in first. I met her halfway. The kiss wasn't rushed. It was a hesitation made physical. A pause against my lips. A question trembling between us. A breath shared but not claimed. Her mouth hovered against mine. Once, like testing the shape of a secret. And I felt everything in me come undone. I froze. So did she. We stayed like that, barely touching, listening to each other breathe. Then she exhaled softly into my mouth, whispering, Zuri. My name felt like a confession. I kissed her back, hesitant, unsure. But enough. Enough for her to understand. Enough for me to understand. Enough to guarantee nothing would go back to normal. When we finally pulled apart, the world didn't snap back. It rearranged itself quietly. She rested her forehead against mine. We shouldn't have done that, she whispered. I know. But neither of us moved. Neither apologized. And in the electric, terrifying silence that followed, one truth settled in my chest. This wasn't the ending of anything. It was the beginning.
Hi ladies. Thanks for sticking around till the end. I'm just one African storyteller, sharing love stories the world told us to hide. Please subscribe and help keep these voices alive, one story at a time.